Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pack Bros YouTube channel. My name is Chris,
I'm Rob.
and today we are diving into a little bit of news. The NBA 2023 playoffs are happening. It is the finals. We have the Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets. As of the recording of this video, game one is tonight, and we're going to do a little bit of analytics. We're going to see which team seems most fit to win. We're going to dive into a little bit of side stories here and there, give you guys a complete update as to how the Heat and the Denver Nuggets came to this point in the 2023 season.
Before we dive into things, just to make things clear, we are not sports experts. We are just sports fans diving into some details that's readily available to everybody. So we are not trying to say we're smarter than you or we know more than you. All we're trying to say is here's the details, and maybe you can grab a few things or two out of what we're talking about here today.
If you guys agree or disagree with any of our opinions or analysis, then please leave a comment down below. We like talking with you guys. We like hearing new perspectives. We like hearing different opinions. Now, how did each team get to this point in the 2023 playoffs? Let's take a look at the summary of each team. We're going to start off with the Heat.
So for the Heat here, the Heat actually got in through the play-in series, which is actually pretty incredible that a team in the play-in series has been able to play-in tournament, I should say, has been able to reach the finals. The Heat started off playing the Bucks, the 8 seed playing the 1 seed. Not only did they beat them, but they beat them handedly, 4-1. That's a pretty impressive result there. Got by the Knicks, which I expected them to do. In all honesty, I don't think the Knicks are a good team. Don't get me wrong. I just don't see them as title contenders. I think the Heat are a more complete team, and then eventually had a hard-fought 7-game series with the Celtics where they were up 3-0 and let the Celtics get back to 3-3. Ended up closing the door in the final game, which I do think is a big character win for the team there. This amounts to a playoff record of 12-6, which I do think is a little bit important to note that they are, at that 600, 2/3 mark of winning rate there. And now we're going into playing against the Nuggets from that side of things. So the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference has made the finals, largely led in those stat categories by Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. No real surprises there from that side of things. But flipping over to the path Denver has taken to the finals. The Denver went into the playoffs facing the Timberwolves, Denver being the 1 seed in the Western Conference, took care of the Timberwolves in 5 games, took out the Nuggets in 6 games, and swept the Lakers.
Took out the Suns.
Sorry, the Suns in 6 games, and ultimately took out the Lakers in a sweep, amounting to a playoff record of 12-3. So they've only dropped 3 games the entire playoff so far. I mean, they haven't really lost a series collectively in the playoffs yet. Did I expect them to beat the Timberwolves? Yes, absolutely. Did I expect them to beat the Suns? That was probably their toughest test, in my opinion. Did I expect them to beat the Lakers? Yes. Did I expect them to sweep the Lakers? No. But here they are, somehow a silent 1 seed entering the finals against a loud 8 seed. It's a very unique situation going on here. Not one that anybody probably would have expected, at least from the Eastern Conference side. And of course, Jokic leading the way in most stat categories here at the bottom of our screen. Points, rebounds, and assists, with KCP, leading the steals category, and Aaron Gordon leading the blocks category, which no substantial numbers there, just kind of average numbers throughout the team.
I'm going to bring up 2 other things here as well. Number one, I'm fairly certain, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamal Murray just came back from an injury,
This was his first season back from a pretty serious injury, yes.
Okay. The fact that he's doing as well as he is after a injury like that in the playoffs is amazing. I don't think enough people give Jamal Murray enough credit. We all know Joker is a freaking animal, putting up numbers we've literally never seen before. I think he has the most triple doubles in playoff history. Like in one playoff season. I think he has 8 right now, and this series is just starting. I think he's going to pull off another, I think he's going to get to 10 or 11, which is going to be absolutely insane. But Jamal Murray, put some credit on that guy's name. He's doing some good work coming back from an injury. Another thing I want to mention, Denver, they're pretty high up there with altitude. When players go to play in Denver, I don't think a lot of them truly grasp the situation that they're in with the altitude change. It can really affect you when you're there. I think I saw a stat recently. It was the home percentage that Denver wins is it's 0.65 or 0.669 or something like that. It's really high, way higher than most other players' home records. And then their road record is obviously a lot worse than that. But those are the 2 little points I wanted to make there. I think it's going to be quite a difficult challenge for the Heat when it comes to that. Dealing with Murray and dealing with that altitude. It's going to suck.
That's fair, and I'm actually going to touch on that a little bit more later on here when we talk about our predictions, which are going to wrap up this video, and the factors that are going to tie into that beyond just the players' names that we know and the points that they get. But to start that off, let's take a look at the coaching matchup here. So we have Mike Malone on the side of Denver, and we have Eric Spoelstra on the Heat. Now, I want to say this about Spoelstra, and this is somewhere I was completely wrong. When they put Spoelstra in charge of the big three, when LeBron, Bosch, and Wade were there, I thought that was a ridiculous hire. I couldn't believe they were putting this young head coach into leading three superstars of the game. And in a lot of ways, not really leading, but following them. Because to be honest, LeBron draws up his own stuff, and I'm sure Wade has the ability to do that too. Bosch can, but probably we know he was the third in that trio. Spoelstra's come a really long way. He's the second longest tenured head coach in the league, behind Popovich, and one of the most successful, having won multiple championships. So flowers to Spoelstra for making it here again with a team that nobody expected him to do so with, but also flowers to Mike Malone for being able to manage a team like Denver, who has a very unique build. They're deep, but also role playery at the same time. And I will say this: I've watched interviews and clips of both of them, and I actually think they're very similar in coaching style. They're player coaches who are very blunt and to the point. They're not going to fluff. They're not going to add additional words and content and catchphrases or anything like that. They are who they are, and neither of them are too scared to say something that they really feel. And I think that doesn't so much say something about them as a coach, but it says something about why they're successful. Right? If you have that attitude in front of the media, I can only imagine how they are in front of the players in a positive manner, is the way that I'm describing this. So I think for any athletes out there who've played a sport at a high level can understand that chemistry, leadership, and coaching are things that most common fans don't grasp and don't understand. And I think these guys do a really good job of pushing that same motion, same motive within the locker room. So I do think this is going to be a really interesting matchup from that side of things.
I would agree. Another thing I would like to add is I think this matchup is going to be just as much a test of the player's talent and skill on the court as it will be with the coach's intellect on the sideline. I think we're going to see, when we look back at this series, a lot of little touches and little changes that the coaches are making. They're like little battles between each other, little things here and there, subbing out a guy, putting another guy in, trying to do little sneaky things here and there to mess with the other guy, with the other coach. I think we're going to see a lot of I don't want to say like psychological warfare, but I'm trying to think of a phrase here. Mind games. And there's going to be a lot of little mind games on the side here. These two coaches are very, very, very smart. They know their players well. They know how to battle the other team. They know the other team extremely well. So we're going to see a lot of little things on the side when we look back in this and say, wow, that was a really incredible and smart move that they did that we may not notice in the moment as fans.
Or we're going to say, wow, that was a really dumb move that they tried to do and it didn't work out. And that's just the nature of coaching at the end of the day. So it's going to be interesting to see how they match up. At the end of the day, the playoffs are chess and the regular season is checkers. And that's where big coaches come through and make big time decisions that could either make or break the season, make or break their career, make or break the championship run. But beyond the coaches, let's take a look at the two superstar players on either side. We got Jimmy Butler on the Heat, who, I'm going to be honest with you, as a Raptors fan, I remember back when Jimmy Butler came into the league and Jimmy was playing with Chicago against the Raptors. And this guy always busted us. Always. I would argue that the Raptors had a soft team back then. And when you got a dog like Jimmy coming against a soft team, he would just constantly be putting up, at that time, above what he was supposed to put up. And I could tell from then he was a dog. And now it seems like he's finally taken full stride into that role. He's found his spot. He's found the right team. He's found the right system. And now that dog is coming out. He's the main event, but he's also not above his teammates. I think he has the perfect prototype for being a winning superstar. Not just a superstar, but a winning superstar, because he understands his role. He steps up and takes care of it, but he also lets his teammates do their job too. So it's going to be interesting to see what role he's willing to take in this situation. I mean, you know he's the guy to stop on Miami, so he's going to probably face whoever Denver's toughest defender is. So it's going to be interesting to see if he finds a way through or finds a way to facilitate the offense through somebody else on the team to get to where he needs to get to. So that's where I think Jimmy's going to have to find his success in this series.
I'm also going to add on to that. Out of everybody in this finals, I think he has the Mamba mentality.
Oh, for sure.
This guy just does not care whatsoever. He wants to win, no matter what. He will do literally anything. He's got that Mamba mentality, just like Kobe did. On to the next star.
We got
Joker.
Joker. This guy is different, and I want to start by saying this. Chris and I are Canadians, but we are by descent Greek, and Joker brings a Euro style of basketball to the NBA that I absolutely love. It's not a better or worse thing; it's just a really nice thing. And the Euro game is a lot less iso ball, a lot more team incorporation. They move the ball a lot better. It's a lot more about freeing up a man to get an open shot, breaking down the defense, that sort of thing. Simply because the Euro game doesn't have a lot of guys who can just jump over you or out athlete you. It's a lot more about movement and movement off the ball. And I think that's where Joker caught the league by surprise, because I remember his second, third, fourth year watching him and saying, this guy has the frame to handle the NBA, but the abilities to break the NBA. That was my honest opinion, at least in the way that it works. And I love how now it's coming through. He's been given a chance as a centerpiece for this Denver Nuggets team. And quite honestly, quietly, is putting up one of the most spectacular seasons that we've ever seen. And if he can top that up with the championship, I got a feeling a lot of people are going to say that the league screwed up in giving Embiid the MVP. I know the MVP is a regular season award, but it's hard to ignore the path to success and what each player is able to produce based on their skills. So Joker obviously going to be a big part of this series. What in the world Miami is going to throw at him, I don't know. He's going to have to deal with Adebayo. That's probably going to be the man that's marking him. If I'm not mistaken, Joker is bigger. I know Adebayo is a unit. Don't get me wrong. He's not going to get pushed around by Joker. But if Joker can outsmart him, this might be a matchup of exploitation. Or maybe Adebayo finds a way, or Spoelstra comes up with a scheme that's going to slow down the Joker. Because what we do know is if you can slow down Jokic, you can slow down the Nuggets. It's going to be very different if they don't have the big man facilitating and being that presence down low, the way he has been, almost averaging a triple-double throughout the season.
Two things I'm going to add there. Joker is probably the quickest slow guy I've ever seen in my life. He moves like he's in slow motion, but for some reason it's similar to Luka. He looks like he's like lagging behind a bit, but his timing is so perfect.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
This is the Euro game. It's efficiency and footwork, not speed of footwork.
It's very fluid.
He doesn't waste any steps.
Yeah.
Every one of his steps is calculated, whatever way he's going, whatever he wants to draw or create. It's not about speed. It's about making sure you complete your motion in the most efficient way and then adding speed onto it. And that's why he's so good. He can make movements that most guys will take 5 quick steps in 2 slow steps.
Yeah.
And that's where that difference comes in. What was your second point?
He's right place, right time, right move.
Yes.
Almost always.
Yeah.
My second point, where Jimmy's X factor seems to be his Mamba mentality, I think Joker's X factor is his intellect. He seems to know where everyone is at every point, at every time. He knows the plays. He knows exactly what's going to happen. He seems to see things 4, 5, 6, 7 steps in the future, whereas other people are only seeing it 1 or 2 steps in the future. His intellect is very similar to the coach's intellect as well. I would also even say very similar to LeBron's intellect, where they seem to know exactly what's going to happen 6, 7, 8 plays from now. They already know what's going to happen. They know how to maneuver around this. They've already put up counter plays and traps and whatnot. I think that's the big X factor battle we're going to see. Jimmy's Mamba mentality, where he's never, ever, ever going to give up and keep grinding at you, and then Joker's X factor being his intellect.
Definitely a high IQ player, but I will say he has the same Mamba mentality in him. He just doesn't express it the same.
It's not visible.
He's just cold. He's just deadpan. But trust me when I say the man is a killer.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And with that said, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention a little bit of Canadian content here as 2 Canadian boys. So moving on to what we have here. Apologies if I've missed any depth players who have that Canadian connection, but we're going to focus on the main 2 here and start with Jamal Murray, born in Kitchener, Ontario. Pretty incredible, to be honest with you. We're not based too far from Kitchener, so it's pretty remarkable that a kid from Kitchener has somehow made it to the NBA Finals. As Chris mentioned earlier in the video, coming out of a serious surgery, serious injury, and being able to impact the game. I think everybody thought he was going to be a great player, but injuries can really change not just the way you play physically, but mentally. Your ability to make the same motion that created pain before. It takes a lot of mental retraining and fortitude to be able to overcome that type of thing, and to be able to do so quickly and so effectively is huge. And obviously proud Canadian to have one of our fellow Canadians in the NBA Finals. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it very clearly. I believe Murray is the X factor in this series, because I know Joker's going to do what he's going to do, and I know Jimmy's going to do what he's going to do. And that's where it comes down to who's next. And I believe Murray is the next best player across both teams.
I agree.
So if Murray steps up and he can drop a 20 behind Joker's 20, I think Denver has a much easier time in this series and truly just a genuine edge where I don't know if Miami has that next guy up, or that next guy up is going to be different every single game. And that's a little bit more challenging to hope that one guy catches, where I think Murray has the potential to average a double-double in assists and points every single game. But we haven't seen that yet because you got one game where he drops 30 and the next game where he's in the teens. Yeah. So finding that consistency is going to be important there.
All right, next guy.
Next guy up, we got Kyle Lowry. Canadian, honorary, right? We're Raptors fans. Lowry winning a chip with the Raptors in 2019. I'm really happy to see him back in the finals. I'll be honest with you. I thought after the first year in Miami, that deal was a bust for Miami. I thought Kyle Lowry was going to go there and never make it again. And that was that. That's how he's going to wrap up his career. But somehow, again, the 8 seed has found their way to the finals. Really happy for our honorary Canadian. He was a massive reason we won a championship in 2019. And just seems like a great guy. I mean, I don't know him, but he just seems like a stand-up individual, a vet in the league most people are supportive of, except for Aaron Gordon, who happens to be on the Denver Nuggets. They've butted heads in the past, so I would like to see how that pans out because they've had a little bit of beef before. But in any event, Lowry now running the point, but probably in more of a 50-50 capacity. I don't think he's going to be able to put out there what he put out for the Raptors 3 years ago, just due to age. 4 years ago, just due to age. But very, very happy, a feel-good story for Lowry to reach the finals again.
All right, and the wild card.
Tyler Hero. Now, Tyler Hero is a massive part of the Miami team, and unfortunately, he broke his hand in the first-round series against the Bucks over a month ago. This is a unique injury. Hand breaks can take a little bit of time. They can take a long time. And obviously, hands are a very critical part of basketball. There are rumors floating around that he can return to this series. I know he's out for game 1. That's for sure. The question is, can he return? And should he return? And I say should he return because they figured it out without him. And I know Tyler Hero is better than 50% of the Miami Heat roster right now. But system is a big part of basketball. And whatever system Miami's figured out to get themselves this far, it was done without Hero. Not to say Hero's not needed, but that's a different system. Is it time to change your system in the finals? Or is it time to stick it out and ride what got you here? Or do they struggle in game 1 and 2 and need to make a change and Hero comes back? Or if things are going well, do they sit him on the bench? That sucks for him to be at the whim of that, but I think that's what you have to do if you're Eric Spoelstra. You have to roll with what's working, and if it's not working, you make a change and see if you can add something into it. Tyler Hero's a great player. Will he be able to play? Don't know. Should he play? I think it depends on how things are going.
You know what? Luckily for him and the Heat, Spoelstra has so many seasons under his belt, so many championships under his belt. I think he's going to make the right decision, regardless of whatever decision it is. Even if we think it's the wrong decision at first, I think Spoelstra is going to do what's best for the team. So regardless of what happens, I think the Miami Heat are in really good hands here. Now, to the end of the video, our predictions.
Now, before we dive into our predictions, I do want to say one thing. Chris touched on this earlier on, altitude. There's been a little bit of back and forth about who has home court advantage. And obviously, Denver has literal home court advantage in that they get 4 games at home. If it goes 7, Miami gets 3. Denver, the altitude is a real thing. Players have said it's different playing there. Spoelstra also said, though, well, if they come to Miami, we'll turn the AC off. And we'll let them feel the heat a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So, this could go both ways. There's a lot of factors on both sides of things. I think both teams are set up for success. I don't think those Mickey Mouse things are going to come into effect very much, but it is interesting to take into consideration those extra factors that, to be honest, again, a lot of common fans don't pay attention to. The arena, the environment, the nightlife, right? Let's be honest. Miami's a poppy place.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of distractions in Miami.
Yep.
If you're a Denver Nuggets player and you're not paying attention, or you're not, your head's not in the game. Not to say that's the case, but I don't think Jokic is going to go out to the nightclub by any means. He doesn't seem like that kind of guy. But the role players maybe think they will. Maybe they will. Maybe they get called upon. They're not ready. That kind of thing. Denver, there's not as much to do. So there's touches and points there as well that have changed past series and past games in themselves. But in my honest opinion, I believe Denver wins in 6, 4-2. Jokic wins his first championship. And Jamal Murray brings the Larry O'Brien back to Canada and visiting Kitchener with it. What are your thoughts, Chris?
I agree with everything you said. I'm going to go a step further. I do think Denver is going to win. I think they're going to sweep.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a 4-0 sweep. I don't think the Heat have what it takes to deal with Jokic producing the way he's producing, and I think Murray is going to really, really step up. I know he's been iffy throughout the past few series, but I think he's going to realize the moment. I think he's going to step up to the occasion. I think he's going to do a lot of good work. And also the fact that Denver has so many home court games over Miami. I think if they get a good start, and by the time this video is released, game one will probably most likely either have been started or be finished. I think if they get 2 games under their belt really quick, I think they're going to run away with it. Plain and simple. I think the Heat are going to be demoralized. I think Joker and Murray are going to take off. I think they're going to have all the morale underneath them. I think they're going to take it. I think they're going to sweep.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, the playoffs thus far this year have been completely unpredictable. So we'll see what happens. Please do feel free to leave your predictions below in the comments section, whatever the case may be, and let us know your opinion as well. Like I said, our opinion is not gold and perfect. It's just our opinion. But please do subscribe and like as well. We do a lot of great content, both in talking sports and opening sports card products. But until next time, we'll see you guys later. Enjoy the playoffs.